Hi, my name's Caroline. I'm a humanistic integrative counsellor, and this is step 6 in a series I've been recording around how to recover from heartbreak. So, this is the final video in this series. So just a very brief recap. We've travelled through the stages of heartbreak. I've used the Kubler-Ross model of grief and loss or change, bereavement. It's traditionally used as a model for bereavement, but it can be used for coping with any kind of loss or change in your life. And along with that model, this last step is known as Nehemiah's. I hope I pronounced that correctly. So it's the meaning making model of grief. So it's a more modern addition really to the Kubler-Ross model, and really just looks at it, takes the whole process into account, but I've just sort of tagged it on the end, which other people often do as well. So this idea is very much around taking some control back, actually, and it's about having a very proactive and intentional approach to this last stage of your recovery. So once you have started to move into the acceptance phase of the breakup of the relationship, after you've moved through the shock of it happening, the anger, the bargaining, the depression, then you're into the acceptance phase. And usually once you get to the acceptance phase, it's unlikely that you will fully return back to the start, although you will very likely dip in and out of other stages, especially, if something, especially if there was a toxic element to your relationship, or if the ending was not your choice, or if there's any kind of betrayal or abuse or neglect or any kind of trauma associated with the relationship ending. And that will most likely make this recovery a lot more complicated, can take longer. You may be more likely to get stuck at some stages, and if that's compounded by if you experienced any kind of trauma in your childhood, or if you have any kind of tricky relationships in your past, then the heartbreak recovery process may take longer or may be more complicated for you. So yeah, so in this last stage, and this can occur, you can start to do this sort of earlier in terms of timing. You can do bits of this work within the other stages, but mostly it will come sort of towards the later end of the heartbreak recovery process, which can take, I mean, if this has been a long-term relationship that you've been in, you will not be recovering from this, not properly. It's going to take months, probably a year, maybe several years. And for some people, if there is a lot of complexity to this relationship, it can take longer. I mean, it can take a decade or more, and there's no there's no quick fix to this. This is a process, but if you're starting to notice that you're less angry or less sad, the days that, your days seem to, you're starting to feel more hopeful in your life in general, then that's the sign that you are accepting the reality of the ending of the relationship, and that's when you're going to start to integrate this into your life. And so this last stage is something you could be really proactive with, and in fact that is very much encouraged according to Nehemiah's model. Um, and so this is, so on an emotional level, this is about continuing to very much acknowledge the complexity of the emotions that you're feeling, and the range of the emotions that you're feeling. So then, you know, you may feel, on some days you may feel really happy to not be in this relationship anymore. There are other days when you may feel really sad and empty and angry, or numb. You may feel fearful for the future, like these feelings and thoughts of, oh, you know, who's gonna want me, or I'm never gonna find, you know, I'm never gonna find anyone else. Or just if there's a lot of space, a lot of time on your own, that may feel really tricky if you've been very used to being in a close-knit relationship. So continuing to do the work of the other stages, which is to continue to acknowledge that these feelings, and not denying them, not brushing them under the carpet. And so using all of the tools that we've been talking about, using your journaling, using your talking to your trusted people, if you're in counselling, talking to your counsellor or therapist. But if you're not, then just very much taking the time for yourself, giving yourself that self-care, that time to even if you don't want to talk to anyone else about it, but to just really acknowledge that within yourself. Super important to not deny any of your feelings, you know, whether that is guilt, whether that is, you know, resentment, whether that is, you know, sometimes we might get the, you know, feelings of wanting some kind of revenge or retribution. These are all really normal feelings, but they are probably or hopefully they're quite transient feelings, and really what the most important thing we need to do on this journey is to acknowledge that actually this is really sad, and all human beings find change difficult. And so, you know, I've lost my the person I thought I loved most in the world has now gone for whatever reason, and that is sad. That is sad. And often the feelings of, you know, guilt or revenge or resentment or anger are actually, they're kind of red herrings actually, because ultimately what's going on underneath those feelings is sadness, and a feeling of rejection and abandonment and injustice. You know, this is not a feeling that this is not fair. And so acknowledging that whole range of really complex emotions, along with possible feelings of, you know, joy, freedom, relief, you know, especially if there was you know, if your partner was neglectful, abusive, coercive, controlling, if there's any sort of toxicity to your relationship, then yes, you may, this may be really confusing for you. You're holding sadness and anger and fear, but you're also holding joy and freedom and release and relief, along with a whole host of other complicated emotions. So can feel really turbulent. So we're continuing that work of acknowledging all of those difficult feelings, but we're also doing a parallel process of trying to find Where is that silver lining? Where is the hidden gold underneath all of those really tricky, difficult feelings? You know, what have I learned from this? What have I learnt? How have I changed for the better as a person? You know, what nuggets of learning can I pull out of this? And that may not be immediately obvious, but um, you know, for all situations, good and bad, there is always something, however small, we can pull out to enable us to be able to find some kind of meaning to this. And that's going to be a very active part of your integration and your healing. I mean, one thing that really, really helped me on my healing journey, my recovery, was to start to write, do a gratitude practice. I mean, there's a lot of material on YouTube about gratitude practice. I don't like to do anything very complicated, because if it's complicated, I will find all the reasons in the world not to do it. So my very, very simple gratitude practice was to write 3 things every day, things I was grateful for. And that could be as simple as, I can afford to pay my council tax, or I'm so happy that I can see some blue sky from my bedroom window, or I'm just really grateful that my son is healthy. So just keep it really simple, keep it basic. Doesn't have to be complicated, and you can write the same thing every day. In fact, sometimes it is better to keep reinforcing these same things to sort of deepen your levels of gratitude. It can be a nice thing to do before you go to bed. So as you're falling asleep, you know, these nice sort of soothing feelings are coming in for you. Hopefully you can connect with the actual feeling of gratitude, and you're not just writing words and you're very detached from the words. Ideally ideally we really want to connect emotionally, to really feel the gratitude, and that's the real key to that process. Now, finding meaning can be very, very difficult to do if your relationship was abusive. Very difficult to also unpick this idea of, you know, I want to get better, but I also don't want to move away from the idea that, you know, my abuser did bad stuff to me. The idea that I was victimized, but I don't want to be a victim. And it's a really fine line. And so what I'm suggesting here isn't that we are minimizing any abusive behavior whatsoever, and that could take many forms. And if for example you've been betrayed, or if there was any kind of lying or underhand behaviour or gaslighting or anything, any kind of trickery going on there for you, or any injustice in the way you were treated, that will probably be one of the hardest things that within your recovery. But it's actually super important in order to move forward. fully move forward in, and to be able to embrace your new life, is to be able to find some meaning around that. And that's, as I say, that's not to justify any behavior that's controlling, coercive, manipulative, toxic in any way, but it's about what have I learned, what can I take from this to help me in my future life. Or if it's too hard for you to find something for yourself, can you find something for other people? Is this a learning curve that you're able to share with your friends? Is this something you can share with your children? Is this has this experience changed you? And it will have changed you, but has it changed you to the point that you're actually doing something different from what you used to do? Maybe it's nudged you into a different career path. Maybe it's been the catalyst for you to move to a different city, or to take people out of your life that really weren't actually benefiting you. So even if things feel very bleak and very dark and very grim, can we find any kind of light there? Is there anything we can hold on to in terms, and that will, hopefully that will be about you. What what gold have you got within yourself? And when I say gold, I mean what skills, have you found a whole new level of resilience that you just didn't know you had? Have you found new friendships through this? Have you found a new way of being? Have you found courage? Did you find the courage to leave when you never thought you'd be able to? Um, and that's really, that can feel really tricky if it has been a really difficult, dark time, especially if it's surrounded by injustice. Um, and like I say, if you can't find anything within you, maybe there's something, maybe you now, know the divorce system inside and out, and can you share those tips? Can you set up an Instagram account and share sort of helpful nuggets of information with other people who might be going through something similar? you know could you now be the person to support another friend or family member that's going to be going through the same thing? And in terms of integrating that into your life, integrating your experiences, I spoke in the last video about this idea of having a ritual or rituals to be able to really embed it into your life. And we can talk about some ideas for rituals at the end. Um, but how do you know that you have truly been able to integrate this experience into your life? And I'd say there's no kind of definitive measure for that. But what I will say is, if you are noticing that over time you generally are feeling more positive about life, if you are generally looking forward to, what's going to happen next week, or you're generally thinking about plans for the future, not just the odd, so in the acceptance phase it might be that you're starting to feel more positive. In the integration phase, it will be more, you'll be more able to look back on the past and kind of go, well, this has been absolutely horrendous, however, you know there are some things from the past that I am grateful for, and that and you can start to look back without feeling, this a real bitterness, a real jealousy or envy or resentment. you know, that will still pop up from time to time, and this is by no means sort of one and done, you know. Oh, okay, right, now I'm in the integration phase, that's it, done and dusted. There will still be things that will pop up. You will still you will probably be integrating for a very, very long time. And there might still be moments when you you know, sort of get sideswiped by things that might happen that really sort of knock you for six. But generally, in the integration stage, we are feeling more able to embrace life and more hopeful for the future. And this is the stage at which you know, you probably could start to think about um, looking for someone else if that is what you would like to do. But I mean, generally, my advice would be to very much get to a stage of enjoying being on your own. That would be my sort of rule of thumb for, you know, when are you ready to look for someone new, is if you're at the stage in your life, so the stage after integrating is probably that's probably the step seven. So, but I'm not gonna do a video about that as part of this process. But you know, getting to that stage of you know, if it, especially if you were the type of person who was very had a very close relationship with your partner, and not necessarily emotionally close, but in terms of you did a lot of things together, or your lives were very highly interconnected. Getting to the stage whereby you not only have integrated the loss of the relationship, but you're actually now starting to enjoy. You're not just tolerating your life, you're starting to enjoy your life. You're starting to enjoy being single, because really, how can you give anything to a new person if you're not at a stage whereby you actually quite like yourself? And that's not going to happen until after you've made meaning of the relationship and the loss of the relationship, and after you've fully integrated that into your life. And even after you've integrated it, that may not necessarily mean to say that you actually have started to find your inner confidence again, but definitely you're not going to find your confidence until you have fully integrated. Or you might, you know, you might be able to fake it till you make it. But in terms of sort of therapy and counselling, I just wouldn't recommend it, because until we have integrated, then we're not going to be able to look back and fully have learned our lesson from the past and really sort of understood, you know, why did I, especially if it was a toxic relationship, why did I choose that person, or why did I stay with that person for so long? And before we move on and can start even thinking about someone else, we need to be able to understand, like, why did I make that bad choice, or that not so great choice? Why did I stay for so long, or why did I find it so hard to leave? And so, yeah, just looking at some little rituals if you wanted to. So a friend of mine, she actually decided to change her name by deed poll. She didn't want to keep her married name, and so she changed her name by deed poll. And in order to celebrate having her new name, she held a beautiful tea party just in her home. You know, it was very simple. Just invited some close friends, and just the you know, everyone had the chance to sort of spend time together and toast her new life, and to just help her to mark the end of her old life. And I thought that was a really beautiful way of doing a little ritual. There's lots of things you can do. I spoke in the last video about a burning ceremony. So burning, you know, writing on slips of paper things that you want to release from your life and burning them. So you may want to metaphorically sort of burn the you know, if you wanted to release your old relationship, you know, sort of putting the person's name on a piece of paper, not with the intention of any harm to them, but with the intention of cutting the ties that you have with them. um you know, get a tattoo if that's your bag, you know. I mean, do think carefully with before you do anything permanent. I have a tattoo that is yeah, I massively regret, but you know, hey, it's part of me. It's part of my journey. So yeah, I mean, maybe you want to do something like that. Have a little you know, a way to acknowledge, you know, on your body. You know, definitely, you know, think twice about it and ask your friends if they think it's a good idea. They'll probably give you some feedback about that. Maybe something like, you know, if you were married or engaged, you know, having a think about your engagement ring. You know, what do you want to do with that? Or your wedding ring, or maybe a piece of jewelry, or you know, something that really was is reminiscent of your old relationship. You know, do you, perhaps you'd like to think about selling it? You know, could you sell it, and what could you do with the money? What, you know, what might you like to do? Might you like to go on a weekend break with some of your friends? Might you want to buy, you know, a beautiful tree for your garden? Might you want to I don't know, I suppose it depends on how big your engagement ring is, or your wedding ring. But you know, just the idea of releasing something from your life that um symbolized your relationship together, and finding something else to bring into your life, whether that's an experience, you know, signing up to do, I don't know, jujitsu, or you know, learning how to fish, or yeah, learning how to you know, be a photographer. You know, something that is really going to add to your life, um, as a way of symbolizing the fact that even if it was not a great relationship, there is still something that can come from that relationship that can nourish you and can feed you and can give you hope for your life ahead. um so yeah, I think that's everything. Yeah, so just want to wish you all the best and good luck with everything, with your journey. Yeah, I really do wish you all the best, and I really hope that your recovery is as quick as possible, without rushing. You know, you've got to take your time with these things, and yeah, it can't be rushed. So just remember that if you're feeling frustrated and sort of, you know, feeling as though you're not getting anywhere, you know, this is, it can be a long, slow process. And you know, reach out for help if you feel like you are getting stuck at any point along your journey. So I wish you all the best, and thanks for watching, and I will see you again soon. Take care. Bye.